Good afternoon, one and all, and welcome to the 6th edition of the Business Excellence Summit at the Xavier Institute of Management, Exile University, Bhubaneswar. My name is Neha Roy.
My name is Biju.
And it is a privilege today to welcome a distinguished pair of inspiring leaders and business pioneers who have left a lasting impact on the world of management. This year, we are raising the bar on the theme, redefining possibility. As the business landscape undergoes rapid transformation, we believe that now is the time to challenge conventions and explore new horizons. Today's program will start with an individual talk by each of our speakers. We will then move on to a panel discussion and a Q&A moderated by Professor Sridhar Kumar Das, an esteemed professor of finance at Exile. Following this, we will allow additional questions from the audience. Our first speaker for the day is Mr. Sambit Mohanty, batch of 1997, with experience as a business development leader in India startups at Siemens Digital. Our second speaker is Mr. Biju Dominic from the batch of 1990. Currently, Mr. Dominic is a chief evangelist at Practical Analytics. With structure in place, let us commence the session. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce an illustrious leader and industry giant, Mr. Sambit Mohanty, who is a proud alum of Exile batch of 1997. He has since built an impressive career spanning more than 2 decades in the technology and business sector, with a special focus on enterprise applications, cloud, SaaS, and startup ecosystems. Throughout his illustrious career, Mr. Mohanty has had significant roles at some of the world's leading companies, including SAP, IBM, and HCL. At SAP, he served as the Sales Director for CRM Solutions and Volume Sales, and Director of Commercial Sales across India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. At Siemens Digital Industry Software, he has supported startups in converting engineering ideas into marketable products. His entrepreneurial spirit shines through as the co-founder of Ring of Life, the world's first ISO 26000 certified wellness company, reflecting his commitment to innovation and holistic well-being. Beyond his professional achievements, Mr. Mohanty is a positive lifestyle evangelist who advocates for a balanced approach to life by integrating the principles of mindfulness and positivity into his work and personal life. We are thrilled to have Mr. Mohanty with us today to share his journey, insights, and valuable experiences. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sambit Mohanty, who is inspiring business stories from
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. So, ours is a very tough slot. It was just after lunch, so people will be feeling drowsy, and so we'll have to keep you entertained enough so that you don't go off to sleep. Okay. So coming back to the topic. So today we are going to talk about how analytics and digital industry strategies will business advancement. So given my background in enterprises, so digital advancement, I mean digital technology and data analytics has actually impacted all the sectors. Have been good as well as bad. So good in the sense is most of the enterprises have benefited through predictive analytics, now artificial intelligence, and bad thing is like using analytics, most of the financial scams have also happened. So technology has two sides to the coin. I mean one good as well as bad. Today I will talk about the good part. So coming back to the enterprises, so data analytics kind of came to the fore when like Internet, in my time, actually, internet was just invented. The ARPANET was there, and then Tim Berners-Lee came up with WW World Wide Web, and post that, actually, in 2006, AWS came up with the cloud. 2006, they launched the cloud, and in between there was a dot-com crash. So, and of course in India, when we were in college, we had the Harsad Mehta scam also, which kind of impacted most of us, less especially. Okay, yeah. So, coming back, so I will talk about, yeah. So, sector-wise. So, sector-wise, I mean, most of the sectors are impacted. So, retail definitely is something which uses data analytics in a big way. So, if you look at kind of case studies with the advent of e-commerce, so Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra kind of taken personalization to another level, and they use data analytics for analyzing the consumer behavior, trying to figure out their data analytics engines trawl not only their transactions but also the internet and social media to figure out the customer preferences. So many of you will be aware, people who are Myntra shoppers will be aware of the Myntra introduced something called a Style Insider. So that the information they get from all these sources. So what has happened in the 21st century is like both structured and unstructured data is now being made sense of. So that is a big change, massive change which has occurred. So they are able to analyze visual data, textual data, images, and that is how like the personalization has gone to another level, and they are able to actually target segment customers better, which has yielded results, and mostly the customer retention part has gone up. And secondly, data analytics across all sectors is something where operational all the sectors use it to become operationally efficient, because what is inside their company is something which is the controller. The outside world is not controllable, but definitely you can use data analytics to predict or figure out what are the changes which are expected, because the business being in a VUCA world, like volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, so keeps on changing. And nowadays, kind of business changes are happening in a jiffy with the technology, advent of technology. So, healthcare also, it has undergone a lot of changes. So, in fact, with the advent of artificial intelligence, so what has happened is like the ability to assess or analyze graphical data is available, because there is a lot of data and the diagnostics data which is kind of available in the market, but we never had the tools to analyze. So now with technologies like graph neural networks and the ML models, we are able to analyze and figure out like what drug molecules will have affinity to which of the proteins and how they will impact the body. So that kind of impact will be created in the pharmaceutical industry and also in the healthcare industry with the advent of digital twins. Digital twins is nothing but replica of physical products, processes, systems. So previously what used to happen is like to analyze that. We did not have access to real world intelligence and real world data, and even if we had access to data, so there was no simple way to test it unless you again manufacture the product and then send it for field testing and all that stuff. So with the advent of digital twins, So this has changed. You can iterate multiple number of times without actually losing anything, because if it fails, it fails, there is no cost to it. Whereas in the physical world, there used to be cost of failure, and then there used to be a lot of time required to again get back to the angle and test. Financial services, like I said, it is impacted by both good and bad. So financial services, again, being a B2C sector, personalization, then analyzing customer behavior, as well as the like customer connect. So this is definitely the good thing, and again internally also with core banking and all this stuff, the business applications, they are able to figure out anti-money laundering card. They have applications like that. So the bank has actually come to the door with mobile apps and all that. However, the biggest bane in the financial sector is fraud, financial fraud, which has been there for centuries. So with the advent of AI, like I spoke previously, with structured and unstructured data assessment, so they are able to detect patterns, and that is how they are detecting frauds much better. So that is again a massive impact on the financial services field. And as far as manufacturing is concerned, that manufacturing is one area where digital twins, Industry 4.0, ERPs have played a big role. So there, what has happened is, apart from operational efficiency, so what has happened there, new product development and introduction has become easier and smoother, because they are able to iterate and get the product developed, and the time, it is faster time to market, and with technology like product life cycle management and all that, so this has become easier and better. So that's where you can find the automobile companies are kind of launching facelifts every 6 months and all. Using this analytics, digital twins, Industry 4.0 principles, they are able to do that. Energy and utilities is another area, and so in my batch, when our batch passed out, so in the unbundling happened. The Odisha Electricity Board, the unbundling project was taken up by PwC. So there, what had happened is, the generation company, that time it was OPGC, Odisha Power Generation Corporation, then the plan was to unbundle generation, transmission and distribution. And that time the transmission and distribution loss was in the high 40s. So that is when PwC came in and said that we will take this project up and figure out the transmission losses, where it is getting lost, and how are we losing so much energy. So now with data analytics, you can figure out the leakage. With smart metering, you can figure out from generation to transmission where there is losses, and with transport to disco, what is happening. So because in most of the places, what has happened is, you must be familiar, I don't know, I mean this generation, but in our time, they used to put hooks on the on 80 lines, 80 power lines, and they used to use consume electricity without paying the government anything. So that's where all the data has kind of played a role. And in the transportation logistics market, the optimization is money, because they take goods from one place to another. So route optimization, fuel consumption, and even when they are doing fuel consumptions, now with advent of electric vehicles. So in Bangalore, where I stay, so most of the logistics, the intra-city logistics is done through electric vehicles. So they are able to assess that, and given that electric vehicles or batteries, they require frequent recharges. So without data analytics and simulating the routes and all that, this wouldn't have been possible. So that is what has happened. So DHL, UPS, and all, they have achieved reduction of 15% in delivery times and 20% decrease in fuel using these technologies. So route optimization algorithms is typically used by all the third-party logistics providers, anybody worth its name. So in the telecom area, so digital analytics, IoT and all have played a big role, because what has happened is like there are many places where the telecom network is there, but they are kind of inaccessible. Like for example, the terrain is not proper. So how do they manage and maintain the equipment? So they do that through this IoT devices. So they monitor that, and because those are difficult to approach. Let's say somewhere in Kashmir and all, where there is a telecom line. So how do they do that? They monitor, and from the sensors, they get that information to figure out like what part has faltered, which is not working, and that's how they're able to have replacements and supplies, and that's how they kind of manage that. Real estate anyway is now completely on the app with so many apps and all. So it has become easier. You have no broker, then lot of litany of apps. So where like these kind of companies are directly figuring out the customer needs, and they're kind of giving personalized solutions. So that has led to increasing user engagement and obviously customer satisfaction. Automotive again, there is a massive change with focus on sustainability. So sustainability, obviously, we know as far as climate change requirements are concerned, and the net zero part. So as you know, in India we have adopted net zero, and actually the target was to be net zero by 2030, which doesn't look like it will happen. So most likely it will be 2040 or 2045 probably. So there, what has happened is nowadays automobiles is probably 60 to 70% software and only 30% hardware. So if you look at Tesla, so which actually uses Siemens products, so it's more software rather than hardware, and the same goes for all other companies into EVs. So I have been working in Bangalore with startups. So right from space companies, like there are a lot of space companies which are being kind of incubated by ISRO, companies like Pixel, which is into satellites, satellite imaging. Then there are companies which are into defense, night vision glasses and all that. So all these are possible because of like data analytics, artificial intelligence. So that is how, whether it is defense, whether it is space, whether it is battery manufacturers. So while China is kind of probably 15-20 years ahead of us as far as sustainability is concerned, so India is also reaching there. So now we have some domestic battery manufacturers and who are developing other technologies apart from nickel cadmium batteries are also being developed, and that is actually bringing about a seminal change. Banking and the insurance market. So insurance market also, there is humongous amount of data, and also, I mean, banks require huge amount of processing power. And previously, like lot of data was available, but we did not have the processing power to kind of make sense of the data. So that is now possible using all these supercomputers and kind of huge cloud data warehouses. So as you can see, data analytics plays a big role in all all the areas. And if you see banking and insurance on the BFS side, it's no surprise, is kind of having benefits from having the massive revenue growth. And cost reduction, obviously, because of operational efficiency. So all the sectors are gaining from cost reduction. Customer satisfaction, market expansion, and innovation is happening. Like all the startups which are coming up, like till now also we only have two 10 billion market cap companies in India. One is Flipkart, which is taken over by Walmart, and the other is, I think, Zomato. Whereas in US there are around 50 10 billion companies, and in China there are about 25 10 billion market cap companies. Slowly but surely, we will be getting there. Yeah, so the new kid on the block is generative AI, which is the next productivity frontier. So all of you must be familiar with generative AI. And so I have a question. So you are like previously there was predictive analytics, and then there is generative AI. So which organ of the human body they kind of represent? Some chocolates also. What is the difference? There is one organ of the body which they kind of represent. They are kind of parts of the same coin. Sir, you know. So which organ? The brain, but which one is which? Which is the left brain and which is the right brain? Correct. I think chocolates will be great. Yeah. So with generative AI, what is going to happen is like 75% of the benefits will be coming in only 4 areas. This is not my research, I don't have the wherewithal to do it, but McKinsey research. So customer operations, then personalization part, and research and development, and software development, software engineering part. So this is going to yield 75% of the generative AI benefits. No surprises there because most of it is, if you look at the sectors also, customer operations anyway is people intensive, sales and marketing is also people intensive, and software engineering is very logical. So typically what is happening with generative AI, what is something interesting is happening is like skilled and not so skilled people are coming to the same level by usage of generative AI. So all those of you who do not know programming, so it is not a problem. As long as you have your logic in place, you will be able to ask the right questions and get the code generated. So same goes for anything that is routine, like the BPO part and the business process part. So these are some things which will get automated, and what will happen is like people in those roles have to evolve to the next level. So this is where the maximum changes are kind of happening. And another area is research and development. So research and development, I will tell you one interesting thing. So my son is a final year student in IIIT. So he, like all this diagnostic data of the radiologists were there. So he did a project where he used this graph neural network to figure out like which drug molecule will interact or have affinity for what kind of ailment or disease. However, the current AI is not able to explain. The explainability part is missing. So what we did is we made a machine learning model which tried to explain somehow the logic, like how it happened, because you cannot just trust just because the AI is suggesting something, the generative AI is suggesting something. So it has to be proven, because here we are playing with the human body. So that is something which is still development is going on, but I'm sure in the next few years it will innovation will come through. So while individual productivity definitely will increase with Gen AI, however, like new jobs will be created. The ethics and empathy part is something still AI is not able to kind of judge. So the regulators, the human over. Through video, and the guy, AI, deepfake AI, actually reproduced the guy with his voice asking his wife to send about 1.5 lakhs because he is in a spot of problem, and that person sent and lost all the money. So that's the kind of bad side. So there a lot of work is required to control that. I mean, the technology has to be 2 steps or 3 steps ahead of the bad one. Yeah, so this is the question I was asking. So this is the difference. So creative part is done by Gen AI. While the creative part is done, but since Gen AI has a limitation of whatever model, LLMs it has been trained on, large language models. So generative AI is actually not general, because it responds to data on which it has been trained. So it is not like all pervasive that it can take data unless it is trained. So it is as good as the training. So while some of the easy tasks it is able to do, but lot of tasks, like everywhere we need human oversight to ensure that it is not going wrong or it is giving wrong data. So that is one kind of job role which is definitely going to come up. Yeah, so these are some details on how customer operations function kind of is going to a change. So there are, even before AI, there were like AI chatbots and all who were doing a lot of stuff, like all of you would have interacted with them. Then the customer agent interactions time is getting saved, because what AI is able to do is, it is like typically nowadays customers interact across channels. Like sometimes they use WhatsApp, sometimes they might be posting on X or Twitter, sometimes they will call up, sometimes they will drop a mail. So previously what used to happen, customer support agents used to have a very hard time figuring out all the data and all. That's where a lot of time used to get wasted. So now with AI is able to summarize and actually act as an aid. So they are actually listening to the customer and suggesting what should be told to the customer on the other end of the line. And so each iteration, what is happening is AI is learning and suggesting self-improvement to the agents. So this kind of is yielding cost reduction of about 30 to 40%. 45% of the current function. I'm talking about the customer operations function globally. Similarly, marketing and sales. So previously for segmentation, it used to be a huge task because you had to go Google, buy databases and do all that. So there, nowadays, like suppose you query ChatGPT 4.0, that which are the FMCG companies in Bhubaneswar, are headquartered in Bhubaneswar. So in few seconds it will give the results. So it is making the sales and marketing tasks easier. And as far as also the comparison models have also become better, retention is easier, and as far as sellers are concerned, they are able to accurately estimate what to stock, what not to stock, what is the trend. So that is kind of helping in managing their inventory and also targeted sales. So this has actually impacted the sales and marketing by cutting down productivity by 3 to, boosting the productivity by 3 to 5%. And software engineering I already spoke about. So it is there for the entire life cycle. So whether it is planning, system design, coding, testing, maintenance, then making the AI models better. So because you have to go through a lot of iterations. So there also it is like 30 to 45% of the current cost. And R&D, like in deep tech, while deep tech is little difficult because it is difficult to train the LLMs, like are not so much in the R&D area nowadays, so it is difficult to train. But still, it helps in iteration, and that will also help in like research analysis, design, virtual simulations. I spoke about digital twins, so a lot of stuff can be done through digital twins. Like in aerospace and defense, we say that the plane flies before it is built, because with so much iteration over iteration, so they are able to get the model perfected. So that takes a lot of cost in hand, and that is why the faster launches. So anyway, most of it I have spoken. So finance institutions leverage AI in customer support, fraud detection, coding part, personalization part. And if you see, the impact is significantly high in these areas. Similarly, the insurance sector, customer support, underwriting, claims and benefit management also has become easier because with so much of data that insurance companies have. So there is faster claim processing, better customer satisfaction, saving of time, thereby leading to operational cost reduction. Retail industry, anyway, we have spoken, so I won't repeat it, but yes. So range and space is something which we have not covered. So nowadays you can get conversational startups with video and all that, so where people can actually look at the product, use it with AR and VR, also try it and then buy. So CPG part, which is the FMCG part also. So again, new product development, consumer insight, marketing and computer experience is yielding a lot of results. Yeah, but what are the key challenges facing AI today? So these are some of the challenges that has to be taken care of: data breaches, cyber threats, regulatory compliance in data privacy and security, bias and fairness. So that my esteemed colleague Biju will be talking about that because he is doing research in those areas. explainability and transparency, that is what I already referred to. Ethical and societal concerns, again, Biju will delve into more details on that. Generalizations and adaptability. So that's limited generalization because, like I said, models are being trained on less data. So one data which has been trained in, let's say, for Caucasians in the Western civilization might not work in India as far as health data is concerned, because the physiological and biological data are different and the environment is different. Then computation, energy requirement is huge. So while sustainability is a theme, but all these AI kind of models or the AI data crunching, they consume a lot of power and actually create a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So that is also another challenge because it just cannot go on. We need to be more efficient. And we are talking about edge computing and also, which will again result in more data being coming to personal devices and obviously more power being consumed. Then we have that human AI collaboration, which is nothing but the industry 5.0. So that is one area where we require the usability, work on the usability integration part. Human oversight has to be there and intervention has to be there because as some of you might have read, I think Google had actually fired an engineer because he said like AI has become sentient, one of the famous persons. So still we don't know. I mean, AI can go anywhere, good or bad. So that is another area where we will have to be very careful about. And security vulnerabilities we kind of spoke about, and AI can be used in, for hurting people and kind of also them. We spoke about that. And then as the data is increasing, the humongous amount of hardware that is required is also going up. So while sustainability is a theme, so all the hardware, all the computing resources are kind of adding to the putting a cost on the natural resources of the world. Then regulations are not there, like, as far as monitoring or administering AI is concerned. There are no standardized regulations, and long-term safety and alignment is also a problem. So how to control this AI? I mean, if it becomes sentient and goes versa, what is there? What are the checks and balances which are there to kind of control that? Then obviously what has happened is another big problem is there. Large corporates, including mine, they are having all the resources. So whether it is Microsoft, whether it is OpenAI, Google and all that. So they are having a head start. And what is happening is like they are trying to create a closed environment. And they are giving this technology access to like their customers and minting money. Whereas some of the countries like India and all, first of all, our data is only on English. We don't have like there is no like I think AI is trying to do something on the local language. It's a language company, but we don't have anything which is getting trained in less amount of data in LLM. Only a few companies, like only startups are doing that. Whether it is Hindi or Kannada or Marathi, whatever. So that's kind of increasing the digital divide. So that's again a challenge. So how AI is something which is a resource which has to be distributed. So this will again what will happen like the industrial revolution happened. So the developed countries will move forward, and whereas the developing countries and the backward countries will be left behind. Yeah, and like when you ask generative AI a question, So it is taken from whatever sources. So danger of plagiarism and like copyright challenges. So it doesn't typically check whether it has a copyright or not, whether it can be produced or not. So it answers. So that's again a major challenge. Yeah. So this is just an example of digital twins because I had spoken about it. So lot of these companies are using digital twins, especially the manufacturing companies, the machine builders. So whether it is Dassault or Siemens, Ansys, so these are kind of working on the digital twins, which is kind of which is helping in new product launches, and it is kind of what to say, like giving opportunities to startups. Like I have interacted with lots of startups like Bellatrix, which is developing a cryogenic engine and an electric propulsion unit. So these are some things which was not possible without like probably 10 years back. But with the advent of this technology, it has come and it is even accessible to the startups with very small teams. So this is something which is kind of a game changer. Smart cities are being planned, and so the urban planning has become easier. So a lot of benefits is coming into this area. So as you can see, like there is the way the technology works is like there is a physical thing and exact replica is there of the digital twin. And real world data when it is applied, so it can be very easily tested without doing anything on the physical part. So which is kind of making it much easier for them to kind of do number of iterations and save a lot of money and time. So for example, a space company when it goes to ISRO, which incidentally charges 60 lakhs for one test. So they are well prepared and with all these iterations, and 60 lakhs doesn't go down the drain. So previously, like it was like if you go to IIC or ISRO, so you have to first wait for a long time to get appointment, and then they'll do the testing and all that. So if it fails, then your money is completely down the drain. So this is how digital twin is kind of helping out. Yeah, so that's my end of my presentation. So.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Sambit Mohanty, for sharing those crucial insights. One of the insights our team and students have picked up was one, the impact that structured and unstructured data analysis is having, and two, how hyper-personalization and customer connect seems to be the new mantra for many companies, and data and the impact which data analytics and AI is having for companies across the board, across industries like banking, insurance, space, manufacturing, pharma, healthcare, R&D, and many more, along with the challenges which will be coming up by adopting these exciting but nevertheless nascent technologies. Thanks a lot for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege to introduce a distinguished leader and industry star, Mr. Biju Dominic. An alumni exile from the class of 1990, his journey from this very institution to becoming an eminent leader has been nothing short of an inspiration. As the chief evangelist at Tractor Analytics, Mr. Dominic's role extends beyond driving business growth. He focuses on cultivating a profound understanding of human behavior by blending advanced analytics with behavioral science. Prior to this role, he was the CEO and co-founder of Final Mile Consulting from 2008 to 2020. At Final Mile, Mr. Dominic and his team pioneered a revolutionary consumer research technique called Ethnolab, designed to delve into the unconscious mind of consumers and reveal insights that conventional research methods often miss. In addition, they developed strategies to reduce low-payments sell insurance products and drive significant growth for consumer packaged goods across both the physical and digital channels. It is a privilege and honor to have you with us today, Mr. Dominic. Please join me in giving a warm and enthusiastic welcome to the inspiring and dynamic Mr. Biju, who is representing
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be back in Exciting, a place that made you what you are. I don't think I'll make this presentation without getting slightly emotional, but then that's the way I am. But especially because Guru and I are sitting here. I think Sambit set the tone for the session. He told us about what the world of data analytics and AI is doing. Now, I work with practical analytics. We are the world leader in data analytics and AI. If you look at the last 3 to 4 years of reports of Forrester or Everest, you'll always find practical analytics being the world leader in data analytics and AI, which means almost every industry that Sambit spoke about, we work with the world leaders. Almost all the things that he spoke about there, we do. But about 6 years back, Shrikant, who is the group CEO of Fractal, gave me a call and said, Biju, I hear about some of the extremely good work that you guys are doing in Final Mile. Can we come together? So together, we can actually create something the world has never seen. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is what that combination of Fractal and Final Mile, that combination of data analytics and AI with a very deep understanding of human behavior is actually doing in the world at the highest level that you can talk about. Just last week, I was at the NITI Aayog because I'm part of the Frontier Tech Hub, which is a set of people who've been created to set the 2047 technological foundation of India. And there too, I was there, not because I'm a technology person. There was, the Metas and the NVIDIAs and DeepMinds and the Accentures and all of them were there. But I was there, as Devjani said, because there is a facet of technology which we often forget. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. For that, I have to take you to 22nd of May, 2010. Captain Glusika had taken Air India Express from Mangalore. He's landed in Dubai. He had a layover of about an hour and a half. So he and his co-pilot, or his first officer, Aluwalia, went to the duty-free shops, shopped around, came back, got into the flight. The flight took off about 5 minutes early. And as soon as the flight took off, Captain Bluebeard goes off to sleep, which is allowed early morning, with an early morning flight, almost 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. He goes off to sleep. And first officer Ahluwalia is in charge of the flight. And it's all going well. And just about 15 minutes before the flight was to land, Captain Bluebeard wakes up. Why? Because the DGCR rule says if it is a tabletop airport and with Mangalore rest, even a post officer cannot land his plane. It has to be landed by the chief pilot. The Captain Bluebeard woken up to land his plane. And Captain Bluebeard is not an ordinary pilot. He's one of the most experienced pilots in Air India. He has more than 10,000 hours of flying time. And just as he woke up, because he had a deep sleep, when I have the whole recording of of that event, of what's happened in the cockpit, you can hear him snoring. So as soon as he wakes up, his air host asks him, "Sir, you'll have a coffee?" And he says, "No." And he gets ready, gets all the things there, and just about a minute or so before he was to land, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, he gets a feedback from the machine. "We are far too high. Let's go around." And First Officer Ahluwalia is seeing this. He's saying, "Sir, let's do a go round." He still does it. He's still going down. "Sir!" And even as he lands, he says, "Sir, we don't have runway left. Let's go around. But Captain Bluebeard landed his plane in Mangalore that day and killing in that process not just himself, but 157 other people. The dashboards that are there in the cockpit of an airline captures the data to the minutest level. Hundreds of parameters, but evaluates one of the most efficient, super intelligent machine that is there. That's why the machine was saying we are far too high. We should have come in much lower. It's not the right listen to do. Sing rate, not right. The machine was right. And he gave all the information that is required. Despite all the data that was given, despite all the calculations that got it perfectly right. And the Boeing representative in the inquiry commission said, if someone is given 7 warnings not to do something, just few minutes before you used to do that, what can we do with it? So when we talk about data and technology, the advancements of it that gives you all the predictive analysis and all that, here it is. Here it is. Let's talk about something that just happened where you and I were part of it. COVID came and people said, "Oh, this is a problem." And all the health authorities in the world came and said, "Vaccine, that's the only option." I said, "Vaccine? It takes about 8 to 10 years to develop a vaccine." My team has been working, for example, on HIV for a long time. More than 25, 30 years later, we still don't have a vaccine for HIV. They said it's impossible. At the policy making, they said, "No way. The world will be wiped off." And one of the greatest scientific collaborations that you could ever find in the world happened then. The best of the medical experts, the virologists, you mention it, they all came together in a matter of few months, less than a month or two, they discovered what it is. And within about 4 months, 3 to 4 months, they figured out, okay, this is the vaccine. They got it stabilized within about 4 months. But then they realized, oh, this has to be transported at a very low temperature. So tooling companies of the world, Carrier and all others, they came together and said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And they did. Within a few weeks to a month, simultaneously, they worked on a cooling system where it could be taken across the world. But they said, "We don't know how to do that." The supply chain companies of the world, the best of them, the FedEx, the UPS, they came together And they said, yeah, we come together and we'll find a way to take this vaccine to every healthcare center across the world. And they did, in a matter of 6 months. An amazing advancement or collaboration of the technology world. All the greatest data, all that is relevant, all of them, they all came together. All that we had to do was ask the people sitting at home, hey, there's a vaccine in the nearby healthcare center. Can you get yourself vaccinated? Can you get yourself vaccinated? You don't know what to do. And my team studied that problem. Across 6, 7 countries in the world. Why did vaccine hesitancy happen? Why did with all the information, all the data that was there, all the doctors, all of them talking day in and out on what to do, what the behavior should be, why didn't people accept the output of that data analytics? I know most of you in your ears would say marketing. And I learned marketing from this man who's sitting in front of me. At that time, we didn't have digital marketing. But now you would say, oh, Biju, digital marketing, this is all, we know technology, we know how to do it. Now think, but there's something which none of you speak in your digital marketing class. A data point that no one speaks. Yes, when digital advertising started in 1994, the click-through rate was 44%. After that, the world of data analytics, because Fractal pioneered that business in India. We're a 25-year-old company. We pioneered data analytics in this country. Yes, we made some strident progress in that area of managing and understanding data and going around with it. We did. A personalization that someone was speaking about, of course we do it for all sort of companies we do. So we really improved ourselves. The computing power, all that you talk about since 1994 has been amazing. But the click-through rate in digital advertising in 2022, despite all the progress you've made, it's come down 100 times. It's come down 100 times to 0.35. What are you talking about? Digital advertising, and you know digital advertising. Just imagine 300 people walking to your store. Only one person buys the product. You call it marketing? You think you understand the consumer and what to do? So, you don't speak about it. You don't speak about it. That's the way we are solving the problem. But that's not me. Because for me, when I was seeing it, yes, I could see it. Technology products are developing a whole lot of information. And I talked about something related to it in the end when I'm speaking about it. And Abu Dhabi government came to us and said, yes, we have 80% penetration of smartwatches in Abu Dhabi. But we have 65% obesity rate in Abu Dhabi. So what do? So a lot of information is provided across. So there's a lot of data is being produced. There's absolutely no doubt. Your medical history, your blood pressure, by the day, by the second, every data is available. And you have the data analytics capabilities. Of course, Fractal is leading that way. Our biggest client is Google. Biggest client of Fractal is Google. So we know how to work at the cutting edge of technology and deal with data. But the big question is that data translating into the appropriate behaviors? Otherwise, what's the point in analyzing your data? What's the point in creating dashboards with those particular data if that data is not translating into behaviors? And the last 2007, with another ex-IMD alumni, I'm coordinator of the 1998 batch. I co-founded Final Mile. Final Mile Consulting, you mentioned a human behavior problem. Whether it's road accidents, whether it's girl trafficking, whether it's HIV problem, whether it's rape, we have worked on. There's not a single human behavior problem that my team wouldn't have worked in the last 17 years. But there's something that we learned while working on each of those problems. That awareness is not the issue. And in all IDA models and others, there's a whole belief that you build awareness, that will lead to desire, that will lead to interest, or desire, whatever, and then that will lead to action. So somewhere there's a belief that action is a linear extension of more awareness. But we realize what we are facing today across in policy making and in the world of marketing, and in the world of HR, and in the world, you mentioned there is a human behavior involved, which is involved in everything. What we have is an awareness action gap, and many times awareness is leading to intent. They have the intention to get up in the morning. That's why they kept the alarm at 10 o'clock the previous night. But the problem happens when at 5 o'clock the alarm rings, the hand goes down. And says, let me sleep for a bit more time today. Last night was a bit too tiring, I didn't have a sleep. So they have all the intention also to act. But some way, when that intention has to translate into behavior and action, things are not happening. So what do? And I searched. And Professor Govindra is aware of my search process. And many times my search was developed by taking sessions here in XIME. It was a bit of an academic pursuit that I pursued. And while doing that academic pursuit, I came across this one statement from Francis Crick. You, your joys, your sorrows and what you are, your ambitions and your sense of free will are all that you are nothing but an electrochemical reactions that are happening between your ears. And that's when I realized all the psychology theories that I learned in XIME had to be thrown in the dustbin. There has to be a new way, a new theory of looking at human behavior. And that theory comes from understanding how the brain functions. And that understanding comes from the world of neuroscience. And that's why I developed, not many people know when people talk about XIME history, and Sridhar and we were talking, people talk about, when I used to speak one those days about neuroscience is what is going to change human behavior. No one really believed me. But if you search around, and now neuromarketing happened, and now much more things are happening. You just search the internet, you will find some of my notes, and I found 2004 I had come here, and I was offering a course called neuromarketing here. Professor Govind knows about it. It was the first institution, educational institution in the world, much before the Harvards and Stanfords of the world said that neuroscience is going to change the way you look at human behavior. We did it. I did it. And then I had wonderful colleagues like Anand and others who believed in what I was doing. And then combined with behavioral economics. And Professor Taylor used to invite me to Chicago Book, because much before he won the Nobel Prize, no one was believing him that his theories are worthwhile, can be used to solve significant problems. So, other than the intelligence of XIME, I used to have Professor Taylor sitting in front of me and listening to what I'm speaking. The same way with Gerd Gigerenzer. Gerd used to sit and listen to what I'm speaking. But we combined some of the most cutting-edge knowledge about human behavior, and we created a very new theory and a practice of human behavior, which we call behavior architecture. And that's what I offer as an immersion course in XIME for the last few years, except last year. Now, recently I gave a TED talk, and I just took one of them, and I told them, hey, this is the biggest secret about human behavior, that people have kept it as a secret. No one really speaks about it. And that has been the foundation of what we've been doing for a long, long time. And what is the secret? Of the 11 million bits of processing that the human brain has, only 77 of them work at a conscious level. Only 77 of them work at a conscious level. Which means 99.999% of human behavior, human brain processes, the position of your leg, the position of your tongue, the position of the hand, none of which were consciously thought through when you kept it the way you kept it right now. It is all at a non-conscious level the brain is functioning. When I was saying this, and we said all the traditional market research techniques of focus groups and filling up questionnaires and putting that on a Likert scale, all are bullshits. People said, no, can it be? That is the way we always have done it. But we said, change it. Or when I started deeper and said, Benjamin Libet's experiment, I started off. I said, let me go deeper and deeper. Benjamin Libet did this experiment in 1990s. And what is this experiment all about? Under each of his fingers, there is a switch that they can, your finger, you can press whichever switch that is under each of your fingers. But only thing is that each of these obviously fingers are attached to extremely sensitive sensors that are capturing. So I use my little finger and press that switch. Within about 200 milliseconds, all that was also told a specific time you have to press. But that time, 200 milliseconds, that thought, that intention translates into an action. Obviously, it has to go to motor cortex, it has to go down across there. There was something very intriguing there in that experiment. 500 milliseconds before I thought, I decided to use my little finger to press. 500 milliseconds before that, there was another part of the brain gave away that this guy is going to use his little finger. Next one, I decided to use my thumb and then press. I knew it, that you're going to use your thumb. Free will. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to buy, and I will buy it. This experiment has been repeated in Max Planck. Isn't that 500 milliseconds have been, and Benjamin Libet has been proven wrong? No. Now they say 4 seconds before you're going to do something, I know what you're going to do. Further experiments in Italy show you 9 seconds before you're going to do, I know what you're going to do. At a non-conscious level. But 4 months back, Robert Sapolsky wrote his second book, Determined. Combining all these things that I've been saying for years. And he's saying, where is free will? Where is the whole construct of free will? And he's saying, no. No one has even talked about this book. Because if you accept what is in this book, where is my judicial system? Where is my intention? It is such a change in your whole understanding of human behavior. No, let me hold on to my old behaviorism theory and my old stimulus and response, all that, let me hold on. No one is speaking about it. But not me and my team. Or when Descartes' error, this book was written by Matthew, another significant thought came about human behavior. Until then we said rational thinking, emotional thinking, don't mix it up. But I think Antonio Damasio is a neuroscientist, he's the head of neuroscience at Ohio University, studies people who underwent, the most famous Phoenix Gage, who, an iron rod went through his head and came out from his head and he didn't die, and his skull is kept in the Harvard Medical Museum. So he reconstructed his whole skull and also found 12 other people who lost exactly that part of the brain because of tumor and other things, and based on it, he has written the book. I'm not getting into all that, that's what I speak. You can look at my course also, behavioral architecture. You'll find all this. Now, but the key important facet that Antonio Damasio said is, what you thought? Emotions are integral to every human decision. which means there is nothing called a rational decision. All human decisions are emotional. And if the emotional parts of the brain got damaged eventually in the prefrontal cortex, as it happens in teenage age, you cannot take a rational decision. Actually, emotions actually drive rationality. And these and more are some of the information that I've been picking up and I've been bringing it into my work. And these, when you talk of paradigm shifting ideas, now these are paradigm shifting ideas. Man is conscious, he knows what he's doing. Now he's saying 99.99% of the processes are non-conscious. It's not an incremental change. It is like, this side. Or emotions and rationality, two separate. To keep it away, he's saying, no, bring it as close as possible together. I think that's why the traditional understanding of human behavior, where at the center of it was the conscious, rational man, has now been completely replaced by the behavioral economics saying we have all of our rationality, the neuroscience is talking about the non-conscious and emotional self is fundamentally changed. And the best way put is by Shankar Vedantam in his book, Hidden Brain, said, this new understanding of human behavior constitutes an evolution no less intriguing, perhaps far more powerful than the discovery that the sun really does not revolve around the earth. And for the last about 20 years, I've been telling, like the video, I've been telling the world, hey, all that you studying about human behavior in your classrooms are wrong. That's a very behavioral way of looking at human behavior. Some people are listening to me, but I continue to speak, because that's my responsibility. Obviously, the status quo continues. And the only way I can do it is to show how the new things are fundamentally changing the way human behavior is dealt with. And I decided to do it with, the whole area of technology itself. And that was a smartphone. And I think I decided to study this smartphone. And this study was actually published as a paper in ICLR last year, 2023 ICLR. Which ICLR is the #1 conference in the world on artificial intelligence. And this study, I don't know how many of you know, exactly had a role in it. The year before last year when I came and I asked the Maxim's president, one thing Professor Gondraj and I did was, we started Maxim. 4 of us sitting in a room together, we started Maxim. And that's how that goes on. The Maxim president said, if excited students are interested, they can participate in it. But I don't know how many of you know the significance of this. You did, and thank you for it. But many times, I think, you don't talk about your history and your own contribution. And what is the study all about? A lot of studies in the world have happened on how much time people are spending on smartphones. Yeah, this was done about a year and a half, the year before last year. And I think what they said is people are spending about 3 hours or 3 hours and 36 minutes on an average. But there's something which is very peculiar, which no other smartphone study in the world has done, which we did in this study. And we asked one more question. How many times people touch a smartphone screen in a day? And that said, people on an average touch the smartphone screen 4,513 times. Which means very much like the TV remote buttons being changed. Every time you press the remote button of a television, the context, which is your program, changes. Every time you touch your smartphone screen, the context is changing. Now that gave us a tremendous insight into digital advertising. Because we realized that on the television and Nielsen has done the study long back. The context duration, 90 percentile of the time, our screen is in front of me for about 5 minutes. And the 95 percentile of the time, our screen is in front of me for about 21 minutes at least. So a 30-second commercial as a stimuli fits in perfectly into that context. But the context duration on smartphone, 90% of the time, your interaction with the screen is less than 5 seconds. 95% of the time, your interaction with the smartphone screen is less than 10 seconds. Oh. So, where do you put a 30-second commercial into it? Where do you even put a 5-second commercial into it? And that's why at Fractal we developed a whole concept called micro-stimuli. That means a persuasion stimuli that works in milliseconds. I said, I learned about advertising, I learned about persuasion from that man who's sitting in front of me. He taught me a lot. But today, I question a whole lot of things that he taught me while he's sitting in front of me. And I say that 30-second commercial is no more. It will have to be replaced by a micro-stimuli. And all that my team is doing today is exactly working in that particular area. But we're taking in on standing on the shoulders of great people. 1954 Nobel Prize in medicine went to Tim Bergen, where he studied something called supernormal stimuli on fishes called stickleback fish. And he just showed how just the red color, which is there, the underbelly of a male stickleback fish, wherever then another male sees a red color, a red buzz going through the aquarium of the river, he will go and attack on the wall of the aquarium and all this one there. Because for him, red means another male. Attack! That's it. And supernormal stimuli is something that works in milliseconds. But when I speak with microstimuli, a lot of people ask me, Biju, is it really practical? Do you think it's possible to do it? Yes, I think Railway asked me a few years back and said, we have a problem. 10 to 12 people die in Mumbai every day. 10 to 12 people die in Mumbai every day as they cross the railway tracks of Mumbai. And that's the single largest of unnatural death in Mumbai city. He says, can you, using your new science of behavior architecture, can you study this problem? It took me 6 months. It took me hundreds and hundreds of hours being on the railway tracks of Mumbai. From BG to Kalyan, 65 kilometers, I put my feet on almost every meter of the 65 kilometers. But wherever I went where accidents are happening, I looked at it and said, how can he get hit by a train here? Because you can see a train coming in both directions almost from a kilometer away. Why should someone get hit by a train that they can see coming towards them? The neuroscience of it said, yes, they get hit by it because our brain has a problem, has deficiency. Our brain evolutionary has judged the speed of small things, rabbits, deers, and our forefathers threw the stone and killed it perfectly. But large objects like elephants and giraffes never move fast. And our brain started seeing large objects move fast the last 100, 150 years. Now, 100, 150 years, the construction of a brain, which is about 600 million years old, is nothing. And so when a train comes in, I'm underestimating the closing distance of that train by 40%. So what do? The traditional conscious communication is what we have done in the automotive industry, says objects in the world are closer than what they appear. And I could have put up boards across Mumbai by saying trains are faster than what you think, so be careful. That conscious communication, that 77 bits wouldn't have worked. So we went deeper into how does the brain judge speed. The brain always judges speed with respect to a reference point. There's no reference point as it happens when I was coming in the morning in a flight. I couldn't judge the speed of it, but there's no reference points on the sky. But how do you provide a reference point to the people who are lakhs and lakhs of people who cross the railway tracks in Mumbai? And this is what my design team did. The extreme end is the right where people trespass. Now, few sleepers are left empty. The next 5 sleepers are painted in yellow color. Next 15 are left empty. Another 5 are painted. So you have blobs of such yellow paints out there. But the train comes from there. The speed at which these yellow lines disappear becomes a reference point. Peter Drucker met me and he was asking me, what do you do? And I told him, this is what he does. He says, Biju, what is this? This is outstanding. And if you look at the 6th edition of Peter Drucker's book, you will find a 2.5-page case study on Wadala case study and how he used the deeper understanding of the brain's function to actually change human behavior. Or when one of the largest road builders in this country asked me to reduce road accidents, we could have put up boards which says danger, be careful, all those things. But we know that's not going to work. So what did we do? We actually said, how do people judge speed when they're driving? How do they decide when the leg should be the accelerator or on the brake? It's not by looking at the speedometer. It's how things are going faster. So we said, let's play a trick on that. So we played it. So 200 meters before the accident spot, which is far ahead, you can see a village out there called Black Spot by Transport Ministry, we call it. You have these white perpendicular lines on the road. And what we've done is, as it approaches, the distance between these white lines has been reduced. So what it does to you is the white lines are moving, suddenly the white line starts moving much faster. You are having a conversation with your partner as you're driving, but you're seeing that at a non-conscious level, and your leg moves from the accelerator straight to the brake. And speed gun studies before and after showed people reduce the speed by 32 to 38%. But the more important is, now we took a Wadala, for example, and that's where the first yellow lines and other things were done. We took it up because that was the single largest increase happening in Mumbai. 17 deaths were happening to 23 in 6 months, 40 deaths in 1 year. The first 9 months, 6 months, the death rate counted 9. People said, will people get used to it? At that time, I didn't have an answer. I said, put it up for 6 more months. The next 6 months came down to 1. So year on year only, I speak, that is 75% reduction. The single largest cause of death in Mumbai city. Look at the road accidents. You will see figures like 69%. That's Rajasthan. Yeah, that's Rajasthan. That's a Hanumangarh to Kishangarh. It's one of the 400-kilometer stretch road. 69%. There are about 2,000 black spots in this country. The road accidents in this country are costing this country 3% of its GDP. Which means even if this project is implemented across India and we achieve only 50% reduction, this one project of ours alone adds 1.5% to the GDP of this country. And that is why people like Philip Kotler says, he too agrees that some of the fundamental things that he wrote has to now be redefined. And if you look at Marketing 5.0, which Philip Kotler has introduced just last year, those words are artificial intelligence, neuroscience, smartphone, and I think personalization. That's the 4 words he said. Now, I'm not saying I influenced Mr. Philip Kotler, but I know I've impressed him so much at least that he's acknowledged that some of the work we do deserves to be in his book. But at this point in time, my team continues to push micro-stimuli to the next levels across there, where I think next time when I come in, I will be able to speak more about it, because we're combining some brilliant work of Kenny Hara. Kenny Hara, you know, is the chief designer of Mohanty. We have taken obviously supernormal stimuli. We're also taking work in neuroscience of work of B.S. Ramachandran, who studied the Chola statues. Something called peak shifting. You take one facet, which is the waist to hip ratio of a woman, and how you sort of peak shift, purposely reduce the waist to a level which is human. But that's the perfection of Indian architecture. And I think we are combining it all into develop something called a micro-stimuli, a persuasion stimuli that works in milliseconds. Now, why that is relevant? And I said, it's relevant because smartphone, which is the interaction between the human and the machine, that is the one machine that you are interacting most with. And so you need to bring in something where the yellow lines that we develop now has to be there on a smartphone. So how did we do it? And that's why the government of Abu Dhabi came to us and said, we have a problem. 65% of our population is obese or overweight. Now, we looked at it, and I realized in the last 17 years I've been working on human behavior problems. And this definitely is one of the toughest. Because one is because they're extremely rich. So they have, all of them have at least 4 or 5 servants out there. Even a spoon falls to my hand, I don't even have to bend down because a servant will pick it up. Second, the food, eating food, is actually their hobby, culture. So that is, and in most of the behavior change models, a lot of this one comes in when, oh, someone might know I have a dandruff. Someone might see that being scared. Now here the dress is such for both men and women, is that all my obesity is hidden under my national dress. So how do I motivate people to shed their weight? And that has been a huge challenge. And we looked at all the existing behavior science change models that are there. Big scary, 7,000 steps, go for it. The same is for financial planning and all of them. You can compare it. The second is you put one, leaderboard, so and so has achieved so much, you are only achieved only so much, so why don't you? Or you actually say, yeah, long term, you will have great benefits. Or if you save now so much, you can send your kids to Harvard 20 years later, or long term. But we knew from the understanding of the human brain that that's not going to work. So we fundamentally changed. And we said, just you were walking 800 steps yesterday. Just can you take 1% more steps than yesterday? Can you take 808 steps today, tomorrow? Small achievable goals across. But we knew the power of compounding, which we know. Sridhar and all the finance professors would have taught you. We brought that into what we're talking about. The comparison is not anyone. None of us want to be told someone is 8,000 and you are 800. You will feel like a loser. Who wants to be known as a loser? But to yourself, yes, you don't mind being comparisons across. And the most important thing was, I think we brought in emotional rewards. Emotional rewards. And how did we achieve it? Obviously, the whole backend was very data-centric. So obviously, we collected the data, we developed an app that captures the data from the smart watches, with the Apple watches there. The data is captured, it moves in Azure environment. The data is now kept at an individual level because the code, you have 800, you've done 600, you are 4,000. Now each has to be then managed because your goals have to be done. The time at which from your previous data you took that 800 was majority was at 10 o'clock in the morning. In your case of 4,000, almost 50% of them were in the afternoon or towards the evening. So we had all the data coming in and we created a whole personalized approach of targeting and saying, okay, what is the goal for you tomorrow and what time and appropriate message. But Canyon himself has always said, numbers don't change behavior. You need stories. And what is the story all about? We just have a flower that begins. And as you take more steps, the flower just blooms. But then we all have goals. And we all don't follow it. So there has to be a little cost for that emotional day. And a lot of people said that I don't want my flower to die. I feel so sad when my flower died. And so our benchmarks were the best in the world, the Fitbit and the Apple. Apple is our client bar. And the other day, the head of analytics was in my office and I showed him, he said, wow, this is brilliant. I said, yeah. So we can beat the best in the world, provided we have a science and a belief that you can be the best in the world. And that's what we did. And look at the results, fine. For me, it's all about results. And that's not, I don't believe in attitude change at all. That's the old way of looking. Change attitudes and behaviors would change. Now I always say change behaviors, and then attitudes would change accordingly. And look at the way the behaviors have changed in a matter of 1 month. So this is the way the world is. Where technology where AI, personalization, data analytics, and a very deep understanding of human behavior came in to solve otherwise a problem which is so tough to do. And the opportunities that is ahead of my team, you can see there are a whole lot of problems for us to solve. Medical adherence is a 350 billion problem where people have been prescribed medication but they're not taking it in the US alone. And we obviously can do something about it the way we are managing it. But just as I end, I just want to remind you, AI has done wonderful things. And it will continue to do, there's no doubt about it. You know, before the 10th symphony could be written, just the initial notes of it, Beethoven died. So it is never, he wrote only 9 symphonies. So all the AI experts in the world came together, and musicians, others came together, and they did develop the 10th symphony of Beethoven. It's there on your YouTube, you can listen to it. But look at one more thing. Look at the number of people who listen to that. That has not crossed 100,000. And just look at the 9th symphony, and then see the millions and millions and millions of people who did. So remember one thing. Today, in the world of technology, there is a whole joy and jubilation about, I've done it, I've created it, I can do. Great, and you should continue to be happy about it. But just because you created it, and as I was telling in the NITI meeting across there, just because you had built toilets across the India, and lakhs of them, and I told them, my team worked on it, the adoption of it didn't happen. Just because you made a COVID vaccine in no time, the adoption of it didn't happen. So just because you develop an infrastructure or a technology, the adoption of it won't happen. And that's a different ball game altogether. We need to keep that in mind as we go along. And the way to go about it is DeepMind, which is possibly the coolest company today. That philosophy even I have taken. And he's a neuroscientist who works at the cutting edge of AI, like protein folding, which is regarded as one of the top. And DeepMind is just all. And he says, the more we understand the inscrutable algorithms between our ears, better will be the technology that we create. Jeffrey Hinton, Rommel Hart, Francis Crick, all the fathers of this wave of AI have always said one thing. I've learned how the human brain functions, and those neural networks and understanding is what I've transferred onto the artificial neural networks. And just a reminder for us that the future of the world is all about machines and humans working together. Very deep understanding of technology, and a very deep understanding of the soul of all human behavior, which is the brain, which is the neuroscience, coming together is the future. I can tell you, that's a wonderful world. That's a wonderful world. Welcome to that world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Biju, Dominic, for your invaluable insights. Some of the key insights, I believe, are fully scientific. Are one that bringing cutting-edge technology, although the universe is not enough. As exemplified by the stories of Captain Lucifer and the vaccine hesitancy in India and across the world. And transmission into voices human behavior is essential. Two, that we have gaps in textbook models of marketing and psychology, and cutting-edge studies in neuroscience and brain studies, and concepts like emotional rewards show and have shown immense promise to redefine our understanding of human behavior. Now, thank you, sir, for your insights.
Moving on to the next segment of the day, Professor Sheila Kumar, an illustrious professor of finance at Exile University, will be moderating a panel discussion and a Q&A session. Now, I would like to hand it over to Professor Das to take over the proceedings.
Now imagine, I am neither a technology person nor a marketing person. I have to moderate between technology and application of technology in marketing. Okay. So let me give it a shot. See, yesterday Professor Ramana did ask a very provocative question to Mr. Gupta while talking about redefining possibility. He talks about as a business who is driven more by shareholders' value. Correct? So I'll go to basics of economics. If there are any economics purists, excuse me for my I myself studied economics, but the purist, I'm not a purist. Okay? So there are, let's say, 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, capital and technology. Correct? If you really think through it, land only appears in balance sheet. Correct? Means physical assets or in balance. Land represents physical assets. It appears in balance sheet. All other are expenses. Labor, capital appears in balance sheet. Labor, land appears in balance sheet. Technology and so that means when I am trying to maximize my shareholders' return, it's natural capital is no longer expense. Since it is not expense, so I can reduce expenses on people and technology and drive my profitability and return on the investment. Simple answer, correct? So if you take that perspective and then look at a very big economic picture where we say, how is economy growing? Economy is growing by only 2 factors: number of people, productivity of the people. Let's come down straight into companies. How will a company grow? Number of people, productivity of the people. So now we have 2 panelists indirectly told us how to improve productivity of the people. Correct? So how, if we say that productivity of the people, we can do it in many different ways. Correct? I'm not going into those aspects. So as a simple person who want to summarize what is being happening in this almost 1 hour 45 minutes, we are using technology and neuroscience to drive productivity. Maybe if I can put my few thoughts on improving decision making of humans. If we do that, so my question here is, there are 2 sides of decision making. One is through predictive ways, which is Sambit, Mohanty emphasized on. The other is not necessarily predictive ways. By using our own human brains, if I can say, super capability or inferior capability. I still have a question whether we respond to micro stimuli or our brain processes and we do our economic state. All kinds of data is processed and then make the right decisions. The question to my fellow discussion is the merger, all decisions is based on the data we derive. Given what Biju just spoke, that I can influence your micro stimuli, and many technology companies are influencing you all the time. So the data which we get, is it real or is it manipulated? So whatever we are seeing, is it the reality or we are being influenced? If we are being influenced, the data analytics or any analysis with the data, any decisions made that data is also driven to maximize shareholders' weight by manipulating our neuro activity inequalities.
Of course, every time, I think studies are showing that we take about 35,000 decisions in a day. And that means waking up hours, 17 hours, we wake up. Which means every 2 seconds we're taking a decision. And that's also one of the big areas that we're working on. I don't believe that decision making is something that people take. To buy a soap that I buy for last 1 decade, I would need a 30-second long stimuli for me to do. I don't think it's very true. I think more and more very clearly, there's another very interesting book, someone who's actually studied firefighters. And I think what he has found is that 80% of the decisions firefighters take is taken in less than 1 minute. That means if someone, firefighting is a very uncertainties are high. One fire to the other is not similar. You can well imagine when the decision is regarding buying a toothpaste or a soap, how much time do you need? So if the most uncertain thing, you're taking it in less time, whatever. So that's the first thing that I want to tell you about. The second point I want to mention is what Sridhar asked us. Railway asked me to study a problem of suicide in Calcutta Metro. And so I went to Calcutta Metro, and Professor Govind knows, I began my career in Calcutta. And at that time I should take the metro to go to the office in Esplanade. And this now, after almost 25 years, I went back to Calcutta Metro again. And I was standing in Park Street station, and I realized one thing. Oh, this is so clean. There's no handstands out there. I know some of you read, there's a column that I write in the newspaper called Behavior by Brain. And I wrote a column there saying that why there are no farm stains in our metro stations. I realized whether it's Mumbai, Cochin or any of them. In our metro stations, we don't spit. We don't throw papers around. It's not because someone there is any, and so people used to say, although Indians are clean only in Switzerland and in Dubai and in Singapore. No. Now the reason I want to bring that is the context determines your behavior. This context of what you are, in this dress that you wear, not just your dress, the dress all the others are wearing, is all influencing the way you're sitting down, the way you're talking. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of factors. As I said, 99.99% of our processing is done at a non-conscious level. Now it's very, 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 very difficult for us to accept that this consciousness, which we thought it to be an integral part of what we are all do, is not there. Now, my team studies a lot on decision making in sports and cricket. And the ball is delivered to the batsman reaching the time the batsman has in 0.45 seconds. And Peter McLeod in Oxford studied and broken that down into what is posting that. And surprisingly, that's the same time in tennis. The person gets the serve in 0.4 seconds. Same is the time for a soccer goalkeeper in the highest level. So what happens in this 0.4 seconds? So there's a lot of work that's happened. And more and more of that work is showing none of it. And first of all, another very important thing is cognitive science that came in the 1950s. Input, output is a very constructive decision making. A lot of stimuli, I take it, I process that, and then I give it out. That's what cognitive science, consumer behavior books we learn about doing it. Now the brain studies are very clearly saying, and mostly work sports, brain does not have the time to do an input. Because by the time it takes 0.23 seconds for me to figure out what ball the ball is going to bowl, by then the ball is already moved halfway up the pitch, which means the brain is an anticipating machine. It is not an input-output machine. Based on my past experience, I'm already taking certain decisions. Again, just to sum up, yes, we've been influenced at a non-conscious level, being influenced in milliseconds. That's the biological truth that we are more and more seeing.
Yeah, so what I believe is, like what Biju is saying, I agree with that. So let's say for any sports, you get few microseconds to take a decision. But ultimately, so if it is a major decision in your life, so what I've seen is it's kind of influenced by your personal experience, where you have time, and the environment you've been exposed to. So that plays a role. So the difference is like how much time you get to make a decision. So that's, I think, like I would agree with sir there. Like when you get time, you regulate and whatever like 30 seconds or 30 minutes. So if it's a major decision, then you kind of try to evaluate everything. But if it is a fight or flight response, that has to be taken in microseconds.
Now it is 4 o'clock. I don't want to stand between you and our panel members. I will open the floor to questioning.
So my question is with Jay on the factor of third cover of the world right now. Do you believe we could be using analytical skills to all the GPTs of the world and possibly giving way to a world where second-hand thinking has become more prevalent?
Last sentence, what did you say?
Second-hand thinking becomes giving way to a world where second-hand thinking when we don't analyze stuff ourselves in our own ways and are depending on GPTs to analyze. Do you think that's a world which is in the future?
Yeah, so what happens is like when I think whatever your computer was not there, or the internet was not there. Okay, so you didn't have that information, you needed to search for it. Okay, so it's always a phenomenon between time spent and effort. I mean, so now what will happen is like yes, you might not be analyzing data, but what would happen is like for analyzing the data, you might be taking whatever 30 minutes, let's say. But with GNAI, you would probably get it in probably less than a minute. But then your brain will require a different skill to actually analyze the output and figure out whether it is correct or not. So that is where you need to develop your skills. So that would probably develop a different area of your brain to do it in that short time. Because all productivity, like this is like saying like before automobile was invented, everybody used to walk. Okay, so now what has happened is with automobile, I mean you can say that okay, people are not walking so much and there is a behavioral change and all that. But again, that is what technological advancement does. So even with automobiles and all, with as far as like at least in the urban areas, as far as fitness is concerned and all that, there is a lot of consciousness. At least I can talk about two cities, Mumbai and Bangalore. I can see a lot of people kind of self-motivated and doing that. Whereas in Kolkata, it is entirely different. So that again is environment and years of kind of living in that environment and years of that kind of behavior. Like Biju said, it will require and some stimulus to change, major stimulus.
Yeah, GenAI, to me, it's wonderful in particular areas. We already are using it, practically lots of Google, for example, where millions of calls come in, analyzing each of those calls earlier. Part of that would have been impossible, but today we're able to analyze each of those particular calls and make sense out of it. Eva, some of you, I'm sure, using the HVAC system. That's again powered by, a factor company. So, whole analysis of that again, Gen AI will be coming in. So, those are all things that humans have never managed to reach that level of efficiency. And I think we should become better and better as we go along. I think there's a whole area of you interested. Look at this company called Hippocratic AI, which is actually using very agents that are very so friendly and in terms of chatting with. Just 2 weeks back, I think Practicals launched something called AI, wherein the questions, I think in NIT exam, PG NIT exam, YJ is able to get 80% and above, which means it is more knowledgeable than maybe some of the best doctors in this country. So again, we are using large LLM, large knowledge to gain help people across there. Specifically, an area that my team is working on is on using Gen AI for creative purposes, advertising. But there we have taken a stand that Gen AI is not a painter; it is actually just a paintbrush. And there we're giving a lot of importance to what the prompt strategy. And a lot of people use the term prompt engineering. I don't use the word engineering just to give as if it's a very non-creative, very linear process. But my team has developed very interesting prompt strategy approaches. And just about a month back in one of the hackathons by one of the largest groups in Dubai, Al-Qudain, we won developing ads that are better than what an ad agency could do, and competing with Microsoft and IBM. So I'm very confident of the future of Gen AI, but there are areas that have to improve. I'm just working on that almost. You'll see my article really next Thursday in Mint that talks about some of the weaknesses. But it's still a direction that will go. But more and more when it comes to Gen AI coming in for information providing, it's already there. But Gen AI being used for creative purposes, I think the prompt strategy will play a very significant role. That's the human-machine interaction, that collaboration that I was speaking about. And there's much to happen out there. So it's a beautiful area here. Beautiful area to focus on.
Good evening, sir. I'm Edwin Sethi from School of Rural Management. Sir, you talked about how data analytics has helped in increase customer retention. Since existing players already have a new advantage, how do new players enter that market? Can this lead to oligopoly?
So what has happened is, like I said, with the advent of Gen AI, so now what you started the bigger firms, they had more people, more research, more data they could collect, more money. So with large LLM models, so what data has been democratized. So you can get the same data, and an individual can get that analysis done. You don't have to spend and individual can get the data, what a team of people will get. So that's the beauty of Gen AI. So what studies have shown is that between skilled and less skilled people, so it has kind of increased the gap. Like any task which has to be done, like people with more resources used to do it better. So that if knowledge becomes democratized, so it helps everybody. Now the question is, again, most of the computing power and resources are with the developing economies, so that kind of divide has to be there. But I'm sure that India, in space research, we have shown that we can do it probably 1/50th of what others are spending. So probably we are not there, but in probably 5-10 years we will be there, because we are the masters of the art.
Just to add to what said, when you're looking at a world of AI, then don't worry about competition, don't worry about if it already is crowded. It is not. When you said last week, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana had floods. And I think 4 days back, at the peak of the floods, they called me and said, Chief Secretary of Andhra Pradesh is calling. They have taken drone pictures of where the floods are and where things are. can actually analyze these drone pictures and then let the government know where the vehicles are stranded, where the animals are stranded, where it could be done. Can we do a whole analysis of it? Now, Patti doesn't have a capability yet. We have other drone capabilities. Now, I know working again with the Niti Aayog, the whole drone technology is going to dramatically change the whole agriculture, the way we look at things. So the opportunities that are there for us to use AI is humongous. Humongous. Just develop, believe in it, go into it, go deep into it. Then develop. So don't worry about competition. I think you have expertise. Are you willing to go deep into it? And are you willing to study deeper and deeper? That's all what matters. I think the opportunities will come your way. It's already there. It's just, that's it. How do you use this? The government is looking for companies that can analyze drone images and make sense out of it.
Sir, I had another question if that's okay. In those studies, the railway and the road, the initiatives that you took, did it lead to long-term sustained changes in behavior or not?
1 year is what we have tested. The later Piyush Goyal asked me to do that in Thane, Mundra, Kalwa. Again, we had the same result. You saw it. Now I can tell you, these solutions are such that it becomes stronger as your brain gets more and more used to it. That's how I showed you. 9 deaths in first 6 months. Next 6 months, I feel 1 death. Now, you need to sustain them, repainting and other things that you need to do. But all these solutions only become stronger as it goes on. Same with what the road safety. We ran it for months across about 6 highways we have data, but across 15 highways we implemented. Unfortunately, that company went down the drain because of their financial and other problems. But otherwise, this is as good as you can get. Again, how long do you want to, if you work only for 1 month, when it's reduced 10 deaths, have you not done still justice to those 10 people's life, as long as the cost of painting it all was only a few thousand rupees? So at times, we don't have to worry about will it last forever and ever, but when it works, will it work or not? Obviously at a cost. That's what matters. But the answer is, these are all based on very what I call fundamental construct of the human brain. It will always work. Yellow line will work not just in Mumbai, it will work anywhere in the world, because across the world, humans judge speed only with respect to a reference point. There's no reference point, you will never be able to judge it.
So my question is, you told about the microstimuli, 99% of our projections are subconscious. So how can we improve our decision-making skills by increasing the percent of our conscious decision part or strengthening the subconscious?
First of all, I don't use the word subconscious. That's a word Freud used. Freud was a fraud, not because he was a brilliant neuroscientist, but he didn't have the techniques to understand how the brain was really happening. And so he sort of assumed a lot of things. And so when we use the word subconscious, that sort of gets attributed to what Freud was saying. That's why I don't use the word subconscious. I use the word for non-conscious. And it's also not unconscious. I felt as, unconscious. You're fully conscious and to play a shot such and all, and they all use their non-conscious to play those particular shots around there. Now again, we're going back to the days by saying by bringing your thinking into consciousness, your decision making improves. Sports itself will tell you, not just sport. Dance or singing and others all will tell you. What you've been doing non-consciously. Assume you've been doing a stroke. Suddenly your coach said your follow through has to be a bit more. So as you play that particular shot, you consciously decided to make the follow through a bit more. In sports it's called choking. You choke. You will not be able to do an activity. So sports teaches you by bringing things into your consciousness. You are not improving the efficiency of your decision making. You choke and you will not be able to take a decision. Look at all learning, right from cycling to others. The way the brain does it, At the initial days of learning, you're doing things at a conscious level. As you become more and more an expert, you move things to the non-conscious. The reason is, someone told me about the machine, and I didn't have time, but that's another facet. Machines, there was a big competition that happened between Lee Sedol and the DeepMind AlphaGo on a game called Go. And AlphaGo won that particular game. Okay. But what people don't realize is AlphaGo was burning up 200,000 watts of electricity to play the game. Whereas Lee Sedol's brain was using up only 13 watts. 13 watts. So this machine that is between our ears uses only 13 watts. It is the most energy efficient machine in the world, in the universe. So one of the ways it conserves energy is not by thinking. So the human brain is not developed to think, because otherwise we'll burn up more than 13 watts. We'll be forced to have more than 4 beans every day. So this conscious decision making is more of a Cartesian and other thinking process. When you look at Eastern philosophy, a lot of Hindu philosophy, you will realize we are far more attuned to respecting this construct of the brain. It is the Western philosophy who said, unless you think rationally, you're not doing a good job. Throw it out in the dustbin of history. Embrace our Indian philosophy, and you will have answers for a lot of things that we have speak.
Just to add, sports has something called muscle memory. So players and sportsmen practice years and years to get that muscle memory so that they don't think, they just act. It's very difficult not to think when you are playing a shot, but that is a skill which is very important in sports. If you think, you are wrong. Like he said, you choke.
Good evening, sir. My name is Sambit from exactly BA batch of 2024-2026. My question is to Biju, sir. So, a decade back at TEDx exactly, we talked about innovation infanticide. I would like to know if in the last few years you came across a few ways to influence ourselves non-consciously to resist internal innovation infanticide.
Yeah, I think Professor Dominic knows that again. That's why he said he'll come at 4:30. I want you to be there at 2 o'clock rescue. Because, first of all, I just want to also say I might not get that opportunity. While each of you are sitting there, I can visualize me sitting there with a whole lot of insecurity of what will I do in life. Will I ever become a successful life? And no one knows that. I was just an average student. I was nowhere in the topic except in the classes around there. But there was a passion for reading that he inculcated in me. He made sure that I read Economic Times and all the books on a regular basis. His quizzes were based on that. But it's not, somewhere that became also not just to get marks in the quiz, but it just became a passion for us to acquire. And I still continue to do that. I read at least 3 newspapers every day, India and otherwise across there. And so, this part of the non-conscious that I was speaking about in the initial days across, there were several times in my life I should have thrown it off. Because very, very significant people were telling me, Biju, you're not in the right direction. Including my own bosses in the advertising industry. And finally, I walked out of the advertising industry where I worked for 17 years, and God knows that. And I started Final Mile. But by then I had people like Anand was a student of mine. By the way, half of Final Mile were my student. Anand was not. But Anand and that people believe. So the point I want to mention is, even if, and I assume most of you are like me, average, with a lot of insecurity, what will I do in life? But my request to you is just believe in those ideas that you have. But work hard, work hard. Remember one thing, life is not a good old thing that is not a story. Hair and tortoise, that's not a story, that's what life is. And there will be a lot of hairs who run ahead of you during placement time, getting great jobs and others. But can you be a tortoise who learns something new, even if it's small, every day? Then 34 years later, the way I'm sitting, I can say, yeah, I've achieved something in life. So believe in your ideas, don't kill it, even if others want to kill it. And in my talk I said, even the gods, when they were, whether it's Jesus or Krishna, there were people who wanted to kill them when they were infants. but they became gods and gone on to be because there were people who protected them from them, whether it's Krishna or Jesus, when they were small. So your ideas also need to be protected, like the way gods were protected.
Just one more question. Since there is no questions, we can close. I just wanted to say something before we close. See, there may be a lot of apprehensions and what will technology do to our jobs. In fact, there are two jobs which are going to be most dangerous, which is like professor. My value, AI can actually very easily replace me, as well as some of the doctors. Right? Those are the two professions where technology has not yet come in. I would share with a small story and then we can close. There are two people went to Africa. Okay? And the two of them are business people, right? So one of them saw that nobody is wearing shoes. So he said, there is no way I can do any shoe business here. And the other person also saw the same thing, nobody is wearing shoes. And he thought that this is a great place to do shoe business. Right? If you really think of it, the doctor was saying, nobody is wearing shoes. The decisions they made are exactly the opposite. Why? Because the information they extracted from the data is very different. Same way, you can visualize AI as a threat or as an opportunity. Currently, the world is divided, threat or opportunity. So, you want to be optimistic or you want to be pessimistic, you take a call. But remember one thing, when the productivity of human beings increases, wealth actually gets concentrated with few. It has been the historically, whenever humans productivity increases, more wealth will deviate to the people who have more productivity. Correct? So that's why you see significant amount of income disparity, which Professor Ramana also pointed out in the beginning, you would have heard. So don't overly worry about it, because change will happen and you will have to cope with it. By using ChatGPT to solve your problems is not going to help you. Prepare your muscle memory like a sports person. Thank you.
I would like to thank the panel for such an engaging and thought-provoking discussion. As we wrap up today's session, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks and deep gratitude to Mr. Biju, Dominic and Mr. Sambit for their words of motivation and wisdom. I'm sure our students gained priceless insights from your sessions, which promise to keep all of us in good stead for many years to come. We thank Professor Sridhar Kumar Das for his constant support to the BES team and making the session structured and helping us get the best out of it. Now, I request the team to present a token of appreciation to the speakers for their contribution towards the summit and for making it a special one.
token of gratitude. Now we request them to launch the annual alumni magazine, Unai. The BES team would like to give a total of appreciation to Professor Dash for his moderation. Dear speakers, we now have a special gift for you. I request the panel members to share parting comments in behind the line of the audience.
Yeah, so actually, this is, I mean, many people might not be aware. So, Professor Francis, I think way back in 2004, last time I had come as to present the HRIS software when he was taking HRIS subject, I think way back in 2004. So, this is the second time I am coming. So, very emotional that after all 20 years, 2 decades, I am coming and addressing the students here. So that's very good. And from like for the students, so the world is like with technological advancement and overall what is happening. I mean, there are wars going on. So the economy, business, everything will change. So those are some of the uncontrollables that you cannot change. So as long as you can impact the controllables, which is within your sphere of influence, so I'm sure you'll succeed. Like in my time, Harshad Mehta scam was there, and also there was a hardware company, I think TCL Mindware, which went kaput, which had recruited 20 people, and after 6 months they didn't have jobs. And because of the Harshad Mehta scam, what happened is about almost like 40 people out of a batch of 120 did not have jobs. And but after 26 years, if you see, and some of them, amongst those people who didn't have jobs, they are in very good positions. Some of them are partners in consulting firms, others are like occupying the corporate office, CXOs and all that. So you have to do your duty. So whatever you can control, like you also mentioned. So do your part. Things will come. So don't overthink. So do whatever is possible. And it's a long journey of life. So somebody who is average or below average now, in 30 years time, might be one of the most eminent thinkers. That's all.
As a parting words, I have only one thing I've learned from XIMB, where you're as good as your knowledge, and you're as good as your knowledge, and knowledge comes in when depends on how good your reading habits are. I think read at least newspapers every day, whether it's online. I mean, I'm sure your generation will be only online, but my request is please read books, because it's not enough that you have a point. You know, articles many times give perspective from one angle alone, but books tend to give you an angle of the same topic from multiple angles, and it also goes deep into multiple areas. So please read books on a topic that you prefer to and you really love. And I think that would be one piece of advice that I would give you. And that sort of helped me so far in my life, and that's what I want to share with you. Wish all the excitement, because there's always an emotional relationship you have to take that place. And I'll be very, very happy. Any help, anytime, you can always reach out to me. In terms of books and other things you want to read, I'll always share that with you. But please make sure you read a lot of books on a regular. That's what advice I have.
I would like to thank the speakers for their insightful and engaging comments. I would also like to thank the audience for making the session engaging and showing their enthusiasm towards the sound. We thank the Mohanty, the media and the ourselves of exam, and XM, the photography committee of exam. I would also like to thank our districts, professors and students for their support. Now I request the audience to speak back as the speaker